No more lazy thinking. We've been getting together here in this little video series to build our mental might. And I'm so excited to hear from a lot of you that this is really helping, that it's causing you to pause and reflect and just think a little bit differently, to stretch yourself. That's really gratifying to me. That's exactly what I'm experiencing too. So we're really in this together. Today, I'd like to talk about setting some criteria, some objective, sound, unemotional criteria before you make a decision. This is really important. When you set decision criteria and evaluate your options based on that objective criteria, you're going to make better decisions. It's a process. It's pretty simple. Here's how it works. You first decide, what is the outcome that I'm looking for? What do I want to achieve? Go ahead and think big. Think about the ideal. You might not get the ideal. Nothing's ever perfect. But your decision criteria will help you make the decision, pick the option that's going to be closest to delivering on your ideal. So start there before you compromise. Now that you have your ideal outcome, break it down. What are the piece parts of it? These are your decision criteria. So my ideal outcome would be this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Those are my 5 criteria. Now I'm going to measure every single one of the options objectively to see how close they come to matching each one of those criteria. Now we want this to be really, really objective. We want to keep it balanced. So there's something else we're going to do with these criteria. We are going to give them some weight. There will be some must-haves. These are non-negotiables. My option that I choose will absolutely have to include these things. Those are the must-haves. They get the highest weight when you make your decision. Then you have your nice-to-haves. These are things that would be in your ideal, but if they aren't there, you could live without them, so long as the must-haves are, in fact, in place. You're also going to want to look at the negative. You want to know what any knockout factors might be. I absolutely cannot choose this option if it includes something, a knockout factor. Okay, now you do all of this before you have your options on the table. Because, you know, human nature, if we are already leaning toward a particular option, then we're going to invent criteria just to rationalize the decision that we're already sort of making. So before you ever look at your options, try to get your criteria lined up. Let me give you an example of how this might work. A really good example in the workplace, when you're going to be hiring to fill a particular position, it's important to know what you're hiring for. What's the job description? In the candidate, what experience, what skills, what characteristics, what knowledge is important for the candidate to bring into the job. And you put a little weight behind that before you ever meet any of the applicants for the job. That way, you can objectively assess and rate the candidates based on your criteria. In your personal life, another example would be, where to go on vacation. Knockout factor, it can't be cold. Knockout factor, it can't be a hustle-bustle, busy city. Must-have criteria, it's got to fit my budget. Must-have criteria, it has to be 6 hours or less of travel. Must-have criteria, it has to be someplace I've never been before. Nice-to-haves, museums, outdoor activities, opportunities to be exposed to culture that I haven't seen anywhere else before. And when I have all these criteria worked out before I ever even evaluate the options or consider the options, I'm going to be more objective in making my decision. Now, if I have a couple of options that stack up very, very closely, at least in the personal decisions that I make, then I might bring emotion into it. I have to balance my reason with emotion. I don't want to start with emotion though, because then I'll just be justifying anything that I emotionally was already thinking about. In the workplace example, when it comes to hiring, actually emotion needs to be not in the equation. It could steer you wrong, and it's not valid. It's not a way that you can justify your decision to anybody else. So we've got to know the right proportion and what's appropriate to the situation. But when you do this, when you set your decision criteria up on the front end, and then you are objective in evaluating your options, you will be able to justify the decisions that you make. You won't feel wishy-washy about them. They're going to feel solid, and you'll know that they weren't subject to your whims or fancies of the moment. Give it a try. Let me know how it works.